Okay, we're back from our break, and Tom. So let's hear about this Stone show. This sounds interesting.
If I could interrupt a second before we get into that, I think I found the concert where Tom was arrested, so to speak. I think it was May 23rd, 1999. That was the
Okay,
Aerosmith
all
concert?
right,
We looked
yeah,
it up.
yeah.
So,
That's
so
good to
we'll
know,
we'll
though.
post
Yeah.
a link to maybe the set list for that on
And
our website.
yeah, I remember it being a good set list. Okay.
All right, Tom.
Well,
Yeah. So
that's
if you
how,
want to get into the
yeah.
Stones story, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess kind of just talking about, this is called seeing them live and obviously being about seeing music live and how it's much different than just listening to it on, your CD player at home or whatever. The experience of it is just amazing. But I remember I had gone to my first few concerts back in 96 and 97. And I remember the Stones came back on tour after Voodoo Lounge. Of course, anytime they came back on tour was a big deal. I remember it being promoted and at that time I'm really starting to get into that classic rock music and all that stuff and was a pretty big Stones fan, but not, crazy at that time. I think like Zeppelin was still my favorite and stuff. But was really looking forward to go and see the Stones. I remember they had two shows at Soldier Fields to open up the tour at September 23rd and September 25th. That was 1997, Bridges to Babylon. And at that time, I was 17. I was still in high school. Um, I remember, waiting outside Dominic's, if you guys remember that, when
Oh
you used
yeah,
to have to go get tickets out there. It wasn't online, that didn't exist yet.
right.
And this part of the story is kind of funny. They only had one show. It was the 23rd, and so all me and about 8 of my friends got up that morning to go wait in line at Dominic's, because if you could spread out, there was a chance you'd get a better lottery pick, because that's how they'd give you the tickets and then they organize everybody after they called that first ticket.
Okay.
And of course, out of 8 of us, I think one of us is like 25 back, and I'm just bummed, and we're all kind of like, oh. Um, and we're getting up close, and then the guy kind of comes out and says, I think they're almost sold out, guys. And everybody's kind of like, he's like, but there's a possibility of a second show being put on. And so as soon as me and my friend Bill heard that, we just walked out of line, went right into Dominic's, and because everybody was distracted, we walked to like where they used to do the Ticketmaster thing, right up to the front line. And she's like, okay, just give me a minute. It was just like nobody noticed. And she's like, give me a minute. There may be a second show. And then like a minute later, she's like, yes, it came through. How many do you need? And me and Bill are like, okay. And the limit was 9, and we were going to buy 9 anyway. And we got them. But, instead of sitting like nosebleed in the first show and maybe not even getting 9, we got 17th row on the floor at Soldier Field, all 9 tickets. So we came out of there and everybody's still kind of in line, and we're just like, let's go, let's go. um,
Nice.
so that was kind of like a cool part of the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
But then being at the concert, like I didn't really realize what I was going to experience, which just, I mean, and I could get into a ton of it, but it was just seeing them play live so up close, and the way that Mick Jagger, for me, just had this aura about him. And I know earlier I was talking about like the front men and all that, and I hadn't seen somebody like that up front yet, and um it was just like mesmerizing, just caught in this gaze of like him putting on this show, and certain songs that I'll never forget. And I know we talked about Sympathy for the Devil earlier as one of my favorite songs to play, and kind of how I get into it. But like he came out like dressed differently, and it was almost, I don't know how many people listening remember Bridges to Babylon, but there was an actual bridge out to midfield, and they crossed that bridge. And I remember just the beat of Sympathy going on while people are throwing roses and stuff up on that bridge, and he's crossing it. They don't like necessarily start the song yet, and Mick's kind of like like screaming like his woos, you know.
Yeah.
You know the song's coming, but they're waiting as they're kind of just dancing across the stage to the mid stage, which got us closer to us, and like we were right there watching him do this. And so then they just did Sympathy for the Devil, and I just remember being blown away. And you know, the entire concert just being up that close and never experiencing, and don't get me wrong, the entire band I'm talking about too, but obviously Mick is the front man, and he's the one that you're going to be paying attention to a lot.
Right.
And just like what he could do, and the show that they put on, and how awesome it was. And again, back then it was 97, so they were like in their 50s, and I was thinking that they were old back then, and now they're doing it in their 80s. But and still,
Yeah.
I mean, I saw them 3 years ago in Detroit and still loved it. But anyway, just that experience, you know, and it changed my, not life, but you know, 2 months later, I'm sneaking out to go see them in St. Louis at the TWA Center. At the time it was called that. It was like my first road trip with my buddies with no parents, you know. My mom said absolutely not. My dad said, all right, you're gonna do it anyway. And it was me, my buddy Chris, and Justin. We drove down the 4 hours to see them. I think it was December 17th of that same year, 97. And like, and the thing was, like, just became a giant Stones fan from their entire, it was like an opening. So, and I didn't know they had so many albums. I mean, it's got to be up to 50 legit studio albums right now. And getting to go back and look through all those and listen to all them. And so they just kind of changed, yes, of course, my love for the Stones, but also it opened up this whole thing for live music. I mean, the concerts I went to before that were only a few, and they were cool, fun, but now it was more of like because again, 9 people went with us too, right?
Yeah.
So
Crazy.
it was more of just like an entire experience to go see something, you know, like get all your friends, maybe tailgate beforehand, get ready for the show. You know, it wasn't just going to the concert and going home. It was just
So it was the whole experience, the whole
yeah,
Yeah.
tradition that you were building with it.
absolutely. And like that was it, you know, the first time, and where it was like that. And so I could then just see what a concert could be, you know, and then just enjoy it. It became so much different. And then again, just opened up my, also, you know, and I think that's when I started collecting actual vinyls, because you could start finding things live that you couldn't on CD at the time, which was the major like media thing. And because just that liveness of it hit me so much, how much different than it was than just a studio recording, you know, just the crowd there, the atmosphere. So, and I also think, you know, looking back on things, as some of the stories I've told, and I think I'll tell one more, but or two about that crowd can really, as they kind of incite the band, like they even would like incite me. I mean, they would give me energy, you know, not like I was somebody special sitting there or not, but that's what I'm saying about enjoying that live music. You know, there's nothing like being there,
Right.
and really being with a group or a very large group of people that are just enjoying one thing going on, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And like, you know, you know, especially like a new band you're kind of getting into, you know, I remember I was starting to listen to REM, some of their first couple albums, and then I saw them
Yes.
live, and I had like killer seats, like first or second row center, and that just put it over the edge. Like I had to see them every time they came to town from that point on. And that was like 1985. Yeah, so like it's just you listen to it in your living room, you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. This is interesting. But yeah, that whole the energy, the dynamic play between the musicians, what they're wearing,
Yes.
just they're yeah, like you said, they're feeding off the crowd. The crowd's going crazy. It's yeah, it's
I don't,
converts you
yeah.
to like a super fan
Yeah,
sort of
and
can.
Tom,
It has that ability.
wouldn't you agree that from the musician's point of view, that's huge? getting that energy feedback,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, that just makes you play better. That really, I mean, a lot of audience don't realize that another aspect of live music is that the audience is actually in a way a part of the band, and that they're giving us the amperage, the energy, and encouraging
Mm-hmm.
us to play our best. And
A
that
hundred.
that
Yeah.
really makes a big difference from an average experience as a musician playing where, okay, it was an okay gig, to being just, you're so pumped up and feel so great afterwards when you get that kind of energy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
100%. And we talked about that a little bit earlier too. But yeah, I mean, the thing with that too is like you could just really kind of be feeling like, ugh, this is going so because you're looking around, nobody's interested, and like it is kind of a mental game because you gotta, some people might be there to eat and stuff, but then you just kind of look at one person or two people that you can tell are like dancing or having a good time, and that could change the whole thing for you
Yep.
because it's like, all right, at least one person is really digging this, and again, people are there for different reasons, but it, as a musician, it gets into your head for sure. So to ever show somebody that you appreciate what they're doing is important. And Chuck, I was going to say, like, and I'm not going to repeat it too much, but you hit it right on the head. It was like the live experience. I was like that with the Stones. I didn't miss another Stones show that was in my area ever. I mean, like I said, even went to Detroit 3 years ago when they were in this area. Um, I've probably seen them like, 15,
Mm.
18 times. No joke, and like I've taken people who have never seen him before, like when my brother came into town, he was in LA. I was like, let's go, we got to go see him. Girlfriends that have never seen him, let's go, to try and give them that experience. Not that I pushed it on them, but just like,
Right.
oh, you never seen the Stones, let's go. So um yeah, just it was one of those things where it flicked the switch, and I was not gonna miss it again because of what it kind of did for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great way of describing it. Um, so Tom, if you wanted to move on from that experience to, I think you had another, is there like a backstage story or something you wanted to tell, or
Well, I've got the
you want to
Black
go there?
Crows stories. I'll make that one quick because I know I've had a couple crazy ones, and then I'll tell my other one to potentially end it here, which is like a nice story. But I mean, again, so we're at the New World. It is pouring rain. It's this one. It'll be easy to find. It's the Jimmy Page and the Black Crows.
Wow.
They had just put out Live at the Greek, so that was a double album with them. And again, huge fan of Zeppelin and a big fan of the Black Crows. And I thought of like, man, if anybody could do some Robert Plant, it would be Chris Robinson for the Black Crows with that voice.
Yeah.
But again, me being young, I will look up the year, so we'll figure out my age, but I'm sure it was very early 20s or late teens. Um, I remember walking and I had, as my friends will describe it, I had very long hair back then, and shirt was already off going into this place because everybody's soaked. And then you had like probably the normal people with umbrellas and stuff, but like not my group of friends. And so if you know the world, and I know we've talked about it, the New World Theater, whatever, if you're in the lawn, they had, there's a slope, and it's just soaked already. I mean, the rain has been coming down before this thing even starts. And, I'm not going to say I remember exact details about when this began and all this during the concert, but they start playing. And again, this is the thing about the music starting to put energy into me and just getting too crazy. And so I start sliding down these the hills. They're basically mudslides. And there's a few people doing it at the beginning, and of course security's out there then saying, um like, you can't do this, you can't do this. And again, the only visual you would have is if you've been to the world, who's ever listened to this, but it's like it's like a hill, and then after you get down the hill, there's like a walkway, and then that's when you would get to the seats. Anyway, I'm sliding down these hills, and I won't stop. I mean, it's super fun. You're just like going head first, just flying down like it's a amusement park ride.
Yeah.
So eventually security's like, if you don't stop, like you're getting kicked out. And so kind of like the Aerosmith concert, I preempted for this. So we had a couple extra tickets. I got one from a friend. I was like, in case I get kicked out, let me put this on me, right? So of course, 2 seconds later, whenever they're pulling me down to the security and basically holding me for a little bit. And they don't like, as far as I know, they're not like calling the police. They're just like, okay, leave the venue now after they hold you and get your information and stuff. Mind you, soaking wet, hair wet, just
Muddy.
mud, so muddy. So I remember walking out of the gate. So my immediate plan is to go to another gate like I did at that Aerosmith concert. Or again, maybe we'll look at it and see that they're flipped. And then I got the idea for Aerosmith from Black Crowes. I don't know, but I had the idea. Always keep an extra ticket on me. So walk to another gate. They don't look at me twice because I got the ticket and they're just like, okay, come on in. Immediately get back up there, start sliding again. And my friends are like trying to be like, come on. And like, like the guys recognize me immediately. They take me, they're holding me down in there again. And yeah, that was it. And so I got held in there a little bit longer. And unfortunately, this time it was, no way of getting back in. So I basically had to kind of just hang out, listen to the thing outside, and wait for my friends to get out, who hopefully found me. But so that's a dumb way to get kicked out. So you get to miss the concert,
So Tom,
But the mudslides were fun.
I looked this up. It looks like it was June 24th, 2000.
So that would have been before the Aerosmith, right? Which was
Actually, the
03.
Aerosmith was before it. That was 1999 was the Aerosmith.
Oh, okay.
The reason why I think
Okay.
it's this one, because they mentioned about it raining.
Well, that's it for sure, because I don't think Jimmy Page and the Black Crowes ever
Mhm.
were together again. That was like a 1-year tour. They definitely were not back at
And it was Tinley
the
Park,
World.
right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Then this has to be it. Yeah, there's I found a whole review. We'll put the link on our
I
website
wonder
to
if I'm
this.
in it. It's crazy, man. But yeah, no, I'm just joking about that. But cool. I love how you can attach them to it.
Let me ask you this. At the time, now I don't know if you were aware of some of the videos of Woodstock, because I was immediately thinking of at Woodstock they had a situation where it rained and people were dancing in the mud and everything. Did it ever occur to you at the time that this kind of seemed like that?
Probably, like, and again, I always say, like, I feel like I'm an old soul. I like that kind of music. It was never out of like any violence or ruining the show. It was always like, I'm wanting to get people to do it with me. Like, let's have fun, man. This is amazing, right? But
Sure.
it's 2000 and stuff like
Just
that
pure
doesn't
joy,
happen.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, yeah, we're gonna rip this place up, but like, dude, I mean, we got Jimmy Page, Black Crowes rocking, and people are having a good time, and we're just sliding down what seems to be like this ride. I'm sure I was thinking of Woodstock. I know that probably came out as we were walking in, because like I said, shirt off, soaked before we even entered the gates. Like, but it was like one of those things where it's like, we knew we were in the lawn and you just accepted it. Like, this is what the show was going to be like. It was going to be crazy, So we weren't going to be dry.
Nobody joined you down the hill then, Tom. You were just a solo slider, so to speak.
Like I said, there was a few in the beginning, but none of my friends, of course. They were always the ones, like, probably keeping an eye on me. But just a few. I don't know. I wonder if there's a write-up if they did say anything. I'll even look into that after this.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out. I'll take a look and see if there's anything about a crazy person sliding down the hill.
Yeah.
At the show.
Potentially. It was yeah, I people did see it for sure. Witnessed it.
All right, so then you wanted to maybe wrap up with
Yeah, just
a
I got a cool. I got a.
backstage
I
experience
got
or
a.
something like that?
Yeah. Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
Sorry.
Yeah. So it was again. We'll probably have to look this up, but 97. Whenever the Doobie Brothers played the Taste of Chicago. So what was really cool about this is me and my friends were all going down there. And we were going in my buddy's Bronco. So there's about 5 or 6 of us. And as we were leaving out of town, and we lived like in the western suburbs to go downtown to the city, his car broke down. So we weren't too far away from like all of our own homes. We weren't like already on the highway. And everybody's just kind of like, well, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And my buddy Tom, when we were right by his house, my other buddy Tom, he goes, he's like, let's go grab my car. And whoever wants to come with can come with, because we're going down to see the Doobie Brothers. We really wanted to go see him, you know? And I jumped out, he jumped out. Everybody else was like, we'll figure it out. So it was me and him. So we drove down, we got there. We got pretty good seats. Like now, if you've ever been down at the Taste, you know, you have like the seating up front, which is totally first come, first serve. Maybe sometimes you have to have a pass, but at that time we were early enough to get in there, and then everybody's just on the outskirts. So I remember me and him watching the concert, and again, we had like a tendency to just really be into the concert and like get people involved, and like, you know, if we weren't getting people involved, we had a lot of like energy, right? I mean, again, we were young and stuff, but we would be up dancing and things like that. So we're at this concert, probably like, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 rows back, definitely pretty close. And so the Doobie Brothers are playing. Tom Johnston's up there and is like one of the lead singers at this point. I know their band has switched around a little bit over the years. And we're jamming and stuff. And so like a couple things that happened throughout that show. First of all, a couple people behind us kept kind of yelling at me and Tom to sit down. And we'd kind of turn at him and give him a look. And we're like, we're not saying, you know, but we're like thinking, we're at a concert. We're like partying. Most people are standing up, but we just happen to be in front of like them, like 5 rows up. And they say it a couple times. And I think we turn around and say like, yo, we're at a concert. We're enjoying ourselves. And then it was almost like the crowd turned on them and they start going, come and sit up by us. They're talking to me and Tom, come sit by us. Come sit by us. You know, this is a concert. And we weren't being rude or anything like that. But so you have to know that that was an issue that was kind of going on. Another thing that had happened during the concert was like, you know, me and Tom would yell, like, you know, just give a scream out to the band after a song, kind of give a, Doug, you know how loud I can scream. And, you know, I don't know if they heard us up there, but I'm pointing to Tom Johnston up there at one point, and he points directly back at me after a song and something. He goes in somewhere along the lines of like, you know, that's the way it is, or something like that, you know, pointing out like the enthusiasm almost, you know, which was really cool.
That's awesome.
So we're just enjoying this entire show, and a couple things like that happen, right? So at the end of the show, we're like, all right, let's go see if, and this is before cell phones, we were kind of like, let's go see if our other buddies made it or whatever. Who knows if they ever came down. And then there was these 2 ladies that were like, it's hard to describe. They were kind of like leaning over where we were at. We were down below a little bit. And there was like an elevation to the side. And they go, hey, you guys, come here. And they call us over. And we're like, what's up? They're like, here, take these. You deserve them more than us, or something along the lines. Like, you could use them more than us. And we're like, well, what are they? And we're looking, they're like backstage passes. And we were like, holy cow, you know? And like, we're like, thank you. They're like, you're welcome. And so again, like that was kind of like, they must have seen like the enthusiasm, of course, you know, they picked us out specifically to give these 2.
Yeah.
And then like dorks, you know, I don't know if you guys remember the scenario from Wayne's World when they had the backstage passes. They're like backstage passes. They're moving through everybody. And like me and Tom were kind of doing that, like moving through the crowd. And we got back there and we met all of them. There were other people back there, and there was like the radio station, I think at the time was like 97.1 was back there. And so you know, I remember meeting all of them, Tom Johnston and you know, of course, I think Snake was their bass player. He was a cool dude. And like, I mean, this is 25, 30 years ago. I can't remember all their names and stuff at the time, but
Yeah.
we just hung out with them back there for probably like a half hour or so, just talking about music and you know, we were younger, so I don't know what they were thinking about it all, but it was a good time. They were really cool guys. I remember like people were taking pictures back there, which I think might have been for like a radio station or something.
Mm.
But I remember a mother and a daughter were back there, and she was taking pictures. And I said, "Hey, I'm like, can you get one of me and Tom and the band? And can I get your contact information? Because again, back then there were no cell phones, no, you know, like I had to write this specifically down on a piece of paper." And she said, yeah. So she got a couple of pictures of me and Tom hanging with the band, which was amazing. And also, I remember I had, coincidentally, when I went and saw the Stones in '97 in St. Louis, I bought a t-shirt in line for $10 before we got in there, you know, because it would have been like 30 probably at the time. And I was wearing that shirt of the Doobie Brothers. I had them all sign it. So I had that. And so, you know, just a great time. And I guess the follow-up with that is I remember calling, or I gave that lady my information. I got her information for sure. I wanted to make sure I had a phone number.
Yeah.
And I talked to her one or two, maybe even three times. And, you know, it was all set to get these pictures sent once they were developed. And like, from what I was talking to her about, like, she seemed legit and all that, but you know what, I don't even remember what happened. I don't know if I lost the phone number, if she stopped picking up, but of course the pictures never came. Which was a bummer. And then of course, you know, throughout my moves, and what is that, '97, so almost 30 years, that t-shirt with all the signatures too is gone. I don't know where that went either. But with that thing, if that was ever hanging up and people would see it, they'd be like, "Oh my God, you have all the Stone signatures," and I'd be like, "No, it's the Doobie Brothers," and they'd be like, "Oh." Right?
No, that's still
Like,
pretty
no,
cool. Yeah.
it was cool, and I'd just be like, "No, I was wearing it when we were down there," and then it would probably turn into the story about how we got back there. But yeah, so that was cool, man. And again, like, just another cool story, man, of how if you
Yeah.
kind of
That's
like
awesome.
show
That's
your
fantastic.
enthusiasm and stuff, you never know the places that can kind of take you, and who you can meet and do all
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, Tom. It's like long after maybe you've lost your ticket stubs, or in your case, one of your girlfriends tossed them out on you, and
she
the
did.
concert shirts don't fit anymore. You still have the stories and the memories, and you know, that's what's I enjoy, you know, hearing and such. But yeah, that's a great story. And we're kind of coming up here on about 5 more minutes. Is there anything you want to wrap up with, Tom? Maybe about your band, or anything? You got any concerts on the horizon that you got tickets to coming up?
Good question. Not, you know, I keep looking for a few. I've had a bucket list since I've been young, and I've hit everybody that was still alive. You know, that could be. More recently, a couple years ago, finally got to see Elton John, which I loved. McCartney, that was more like 6, 7 years ago. Saw, but you know, I think if I could, Randy Newman is the only person out there that I have not seen yet, and I always try and keep tabs on where he's at. He's not touring right now. He was touring in Europe. If nobody knows who that is, he like does do the music for Disney, like Toy Story and stuff. But man, back in the '60s and '70s, man, he's a piano player, and he
Yeah.
just wrote great songs, and very, very political and like satire, and I love that stuff, and just never gotten a chance to see him, so I'm always on the lookout for him. You know, as I've gotten older, to be honest, the live music has toned down. I mean, I don't have as much time, my money can't always go to that.
Sure.
But you know, so instead of going to everything I can, I pick out certain things. And like, you know, me and my wife have come to like a band called the Black Pumas that are pretty new, so we've been on the lookout for them, but nothing bought as of right now. You know, just kind of always on the lookout for probably a handful of bands. If they do come around, we will go to them. And like as far as the Stones, I've probably for the last 5 or 10 times that I've seen them, I've always said this is the last time, and as one of their songs would say. But somehow, if they're in the area, it may be the last day, and they're playing the next day, and I go, all right, forget it. I gotta go. I can't miss this. Just because I've seen them so much, you know. But so nothing really on the horizon. But like I said, people out there that I'd still like to see, that if they came around, you know, would be cool. And you know, as far as our band, things are going really good. You know, I don't say this officially, like we're still gigging in a lot of bars and things like that. But over this summer, it's been cool to do some more private parties for, you know, actual people throwing parties. But then we've also done some kind of like private public parties for like the Oak Brook Golf Club recently. And that was amazing. And I think as a band, we've been talking about maybe getting more into that scene as we're getting a little bit older and, you know, families and things like that. It's nice to set up at 3 and go home by 9 instead of going home at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, it's got its perks. So we'll still be out there in every way, but I guess if anything with the band is we're definitely trying to open up more to private parties and like private events like that, which are a fun thing, and we're promoting that more. And Doug's our promoter, man. So tell me if I said anything wrong about that, Doug.
No, that sounds good. Okay, well, I think we're about
we're coming up on the
and,
end. I just wanted to say, Tom, this has been a complete pleasure. I love listening to people tell these kinds of stories because I have you know, stories as well. We all do, and I just love sharing them, and I really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
And who knows?
we might have you back again.
Yeah, we might have you back, and
I'd love to come back. I could dig some others out, but you know, like I said at the beginning, I think this is such a great idea. I can't wait to hear others people's. I know, like my wife is looking forward to listening to mine when it comes out, but I'm looking forward to everybody else you got on just to hear what they have to say. I think this is such a great idea. Wishing you guys the best.
well, appreciate it, and who knows? Maybe we'll check out a show together one of these days.
That'd be awesome.
And definitely your band.
That'd be awesome too.
But thanks again, Tom. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thank you.